Hey folks, Leo here and welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Leo. I run a small pro audio company called Strange Science Instruments. Here is our logo on one of our beautiful 3D printed brackets for one of our products. And in fact, here is the product that it holds. This is the FC-16 format converter. And if you do immersive audio production work like Dolby Atmos or spatial audio, this might be just what you need. I covered this product in great detail over on the Strange Science Instruments channel, so have a look there if you want to learn more about this product. In this video, I want to talk about how we make the front and back panels of this product. So this panel and this panel here. We make both of these in our own workshop using a Carvera Air desktop CNC machine. Now, that CNC machine has been an absolute game changer for us. Let me show you our old products. These are our old products. This is called the M4 mixer, and this is called the F1 stereo low pass filter. As you can see, these are quite nice products, and we used to have these panels made for us by an external contract manufacturer. It was one of the largest line items in our bill of materials. So when we kicked off this project, the first question we asked ourselves was, is there any way we can do this panel work ourselves? Is there any way to do this in-house? And thanks to the Carvera Air, the answer turned out to be yes. Not only does it save us money, it actually lets us do rapid prototyping in-house without having to wait weeks for panels to arrive, which makes prototyping fun and easy. So here's a stack of different types of panels that we made over the production process to test different ideas and to check different concepts. And all of this was much easier and much cheaper since we're doing everything in-house. And a final big benefit for us was that since we use the same machine now to make our one-off prototypes and the final product, it means that we can be confident in our production process. If it works well in the prototyping, we know we can do it in batch production as well. I'm sure some of you are wondering if this is a sponsored video, and the answer is no. I bought this machine. We ordered it directly from Carvera about 8 months ago, and it cost us about $2,400 US. I have no special relationship with Carvera besides being an ordinary customer. They don't know who I am, and they certainly didn't ask me to make this video. We have no affiliate links on this video. If you decide to buy this product, I won't see a dime. If you find this video useful and you want to support the channel, you can do so on Patreon, or just buy one of my products if it's something that you need. I'll leave links below. I've been using this machine for about 8 months now, and I have driven it hard. Unlike many other YouTube creators that do like one-offs, I tend to do production runs of the same part over and over and over again for days on end. This gives me a unique perspective of repeatability and reliability, both of which are critical when producing products. Fortunately, the Carvera Air has been really good in this regard. I've done well over 100 panels at this point, and the machine has done its job flawlessly. In my opinion, a CNC machine for batch or mass production has to be 3 things. It has to be repeatable, it has to be reliable, and it has to be accurate, and you need all 3 of these things. If a machine is not repeatable, reliable, and accurate, you might be able to use it to make one-offs and, prototypes, this kind of stuff, but you'll have to sit there with your finger on that e-stop switch, watching the machine like a hawk in case something goes wrong. Now, this is not my first CNC machine. I actually bought a Stepcraft D420 series CNC machine back in 2018, and this unfortunately was my experience with the Stepcraft. It would work brilliantly, but every now and then the gantry would bind, the stepper motors would lose steps, and the end mill would plow into the workpiece or into the sides of the machine. It was not ideal. I couldn't depend on it, which is why we actually bought this machine here. Fortunately, this has not been the case on the Carvera Air. I start jobs on it, I let it run for 30 or 45 minutes or more, and I come back to perfect parts at the end. Regarding repeatability and accuracy, check this out. I've just finished milling a panel here, and I'm going to vacuum away the chips, but I'll leave the part untouched and just run the same job over again. Now you can hear it just kissing the sidewalls as it goes. What you're hearing here is not an accuracy issue. We're just cleaning up tool deflection from the first pass. Essentially, what we're doing here is a spring pass on this part. Since I'm using this machine to mill the same panel over and over again, I 3D printed a fixture. This makes it fast and easy to load batches of products and also makes it easy to flip parts over and machine the other side. If you're interested in fixturing, leave a comment below and I might make a follow-up video about that. Pros and cons, let's talk about the pros first. Number one, it's small. I can fit this thing on a rolling cart and it lives in the closet when I don't need it. This is great for small workshops like mine. I wouldn't buy a machine if it was giant and heavy, but this is totally small enough that I can work with it. Number two, it's surprisingly quiet. If you're milling wood or plastic, it's not much louder than a vacuum cleaner. It does get quite a bit louder if you're milling aluminum, but the noise-canceling headphones usually do the trick for me. And if you have the machine on a cart, as I do, you can just roll it into another room, close the door, and have your Zoom meeting in peace and quiet. Number three, it's fairly tidy and clean. If you're milling wood or plastic things, you can use a shop vac to extract all the dust. This works, but it could be a little bit better. I'll cover this in the cons later in the video. If you're milling mostly aluminum as I do, dust collection is not recommended because you should be using the air blast feature instead. Air blast works well and keeps chips from collecting and being reground by the end mill. This is really important because you don't want previously milled chips from getting in the path of the end mill. I will mention that the lid works really well and it keeps the metal chips in so that they're easy to vacuum away with a shop vac. On that topic, you will need a shop vac to keep everything clean. I would not recommend using a home vacuum cleaner. I suspect these chips and all this metal is not good for it, but any shop vac should be fine. Number four, it's self-contained. My old Stepcraft CNC needed a dedicated laptop nearby that was always running, and this was kind of a drag. I was worried about the computer getting disconnected. The Carvera basically has a motion control computer and Wi-Fi built right in. It's more like a 3D printer where you can just send it a job and it handles the job from there. If you have an old phone or a tablet, you can use it to control the Carvera Air or to just keep an eye on how your job is progressing. But you don't really need one of these. Number five, the rapid tool changer is fantastic. On the old CNC, tool changes were slow, manual, and super tedious. Plus, they made me a little bit nervous because if the gantry moved or if I forgot to do the tool length detection, I ended up with major problems like broken end mills or ruined workpieces. Ask me how I know. On the Carvera Air, the actual swap only takes a few seconds. It's easy, and the machine automatically checks the new tool's length, so there's no risk of forgetting this step. Top marks to them for that. Number six, the probe module is great. I'm surprised nobody else has done this. Thanks to the laser, I can literally see the outline of where my end mill is about to go when I run the job for real. And so I can position my workpiece accordingly or make changes so that the clamps aren't in the way. The height map is actually a really useful feature too, because if you need extremely precise engraving, the surface of most objects is usually not totally flat. I mean, this looks flat, but it's actually full of undulations, and if you're trying to do things like engraving very precise marks on something, you end up getting thicker and thinner lines depending on very small changes in the height of the material that you're milling. Being able to probe the surface means you get exactly the right depth. This is almost like the automatic bed leveling feature found on most 3D printers. It's great. Next, we have the air blast nozzle, which works surprisingly well. I use the air pump from my X-Tool laser, and it has been great at keeping the aluminum chips away from the end mill and preventing chips from being reground. Regrinding was a major issue on my old Stepcraft since it didn't have any sort of air assist nozzle, but the one on the Carvera Air works perfectly. Note that if you're using the X-Tool air pump, you're going to need a small pneumatic adapter since the hoses are slightly different sizes on the two machines. You can order one of these online for a few bucks. Number 8, it comes with this pretty good toolkit and several test projects to get familiar with the machine. On previous machines I've owned, all of these things were optional extras, and it's nice to see this included. And number 9, there are 3D models of the machine available in Fusion, which is great if you want to make fixtures like these. Fixtures are great. They basically hold your part the same way every time, which makes it really easy to throw parts in or flip parts over and do double-sided machining. And it makes batch production much, much easier. If you're interested in this topic, again, leave a comment below and I might make a separate video covering how to make fixtures. Cons. Let's talk about the cons. First and foremost, I wish the machine were a little bit faster. I get that this is a small desktop machine and it's not an industrial machine with a rigid, base that weighs 1,000 kilos and has a 1,000-watt spindle. But I do wish this machine would go a little bit faster. These front panels take several minutes to mill each, so these aren't too bad. The back panels, like these, actually take quite a while to mill because I have to do the entire inside. I don't contour these out, I actually mill them away. And so this tends to be a time-consuming process. It'd be nice if it went a little bit faster. Number 2, dust extraction works, but frankly, it feels cheap. And given how excellent everything else is on this machine, it just feels like an afterthought. Pro tip for anybody that owns the machine, the dust extractor port on the back is way too small for any shop vac I have ever seen. I use the fine Dust X25, which I think is fantastic. Fortunately, some wonderful person made a adapter that you can 3D print and use, and that's what I've done here, and it works really well. Number 3, I wish this surface probing had more options. I'd love to be able to set exactly how many rows and columns I need instead of relying on the limited options from the drop menus. It's a small thing, but it would make life a lot easier for me. For example, if I'm milling everything in a line, why can't I set this to 1 row and multiple columns? I would really like to be able to do that. It would be extra nice if you could selectively probe. So for example, if you're using a fixture to hold a bunch of parts, you'd want to be able to probe the parts, but not the fixture itself. I don't want to probe or get the height map of these areas. I want to get only what's here. And finally, the CAD software is honestly not that great for serious work. Fortunately, their Fusion integration is quite good, so it's a non-issue if you use Fusion. But not everybody knows how to use Fusion, and Fusion's learning curve can be kind of steep. So just something to keep in mind. Overall, it will not come as any kind of surprise that I really like this machine. It's consistent, it's accurate, it built me a batch of parts with minimal drama. After I got everything dialed in, I was able to leave the machine running for long periods while I focused on designing other parts, and it just works. It just does everything it's supposed to do. Would I buy it again? Yes, I would. As I mentioned, the machine cost about $2,400, and after making our first batch of front and back panels and a whole lot of prototypes for future products, the machine has already paid for itself. This means every unit that we make after this point is actually saving us money compared to paying some other company to do the panels for us, and that makes me really happy. Now, in the next video, I am going to take these blank panels and show you how we laser mark them using an Xtool S1 laser. So keep an eye out for that. If that sounds interesting, like and subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.